I am a theologically trained person, as I think most of you are, and I wanted to understand, what was God doing? God was absolutely up to something in my life, and what was it? And so I turned back to one of these stories that I saw was like the second stock story that you all put up, which is Genesis 2. And for me, it isn't as I've lived it, it's an emerging story more than a stock story. But we all know the story that human beings are created from the soil beneath our feet and the breath of God. And we are placed in a garden that God delights in. And Genesis tells us that we're there to till it and to keep it, which obviously there's multiple translations of those words. And the best interpretation that I've ever heard of this story comes to me from the Jewish world. Nati Passau, who started an organization in Philadelphia that sadly is no longer. But Nati spoke these words in 2018 at a gathering that I was in, and I wrote them down because I thought they were so profound, which is, in the Garden of Eden, God places the human, which is Adam, formed from the earth, Adamah, to work it and to protect it, which is his interpretation of this concept of that relationship. And God says, there is so much abundance in this garden for you. All I ask is that you show the tiniest bit of restraint.
We've been shaped by a false moral narrative that so often tells us, this is the in group that we're part of, and those people are our enemies, and we're going to be here and they're going to be there, and we're going to win because God's with us, so just hold on a little while longer and stay strong. And lo and behold, Jesus shows up right in the midst of the mess as a child of the people who've been marginalized, of the people who've heard these distorted narratives, and says, I'm one of you, I've grown up among you, and God has sent me to build the connections between you and what God is doing in other places, and to believe that the movement that happens when we come together across those lines has the power to change this world. I mean, again, I'll go back to this. 62% of people in this country are struggling to get by. There's got to be some of them right where you are. They probably knock on your door occasionally asking for help. How can we build solidarity with those people, whether they're black or brown or white or whatever, to have a movement of people who say, we want a different future?
So last but not least, at the community and broader level, what do we do? What should we focus on moving forward to actually start to change this? I think building safety nets, making policies, as I said, that are universal, accessible, relieving administrative burdens. And I think this matters in SNAP, but perhaps more relevant to this audience. It also matters in community programs. We can make them more universal, more accessible, reduce some of the hoops. And I know there's lots of reasons that people have to report certain things, but reducing hoops helps reduce the stigma, and it also makes it easier for people who maybe don't quite fit in but still need these resources. Doing this requires reframing food as a right, not a privilege. So it's something that we all deserve regardless of our circumstances, rather than something that we should dole out to people depending on how much they're deserving. And we also need to address, as someone said before I started talking, these bigger injustices or problems that shape not only what we eat, but where we live, and also whose foodways, what types of food traditions are we celebrating, or what types of traditions are being shaped. And then finally, and maybe most importantly, basing this on centering it around care and real community. So with care and autonomy.